aside to note that 2020 was somehow progressive in the sphere of politics as far as the formation of new political parties are concerned. Among the new political parties that were formed this year, that have been formed this year rather, are the Movement for Democratic Change, MDC in short, as well as the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, and of course the reinvention of Heritage Party, and of course just a few examples to mention. We continue reviewing the year 2020 in terms of governance, what we have achieved, as well as the failures in the year 2020. My guest on the program is a former Minister of National Development and Planning, and of course he is now in a new, of course, leadership, serving as Secretary General under the MDC. His name is Honorable Lucky Mulusa. He's lucky to be on my program before the year 2020 comes to an end. Honorable, welcome to my program.
Thank you very much. You know, I'm very happy to be back here. The last time I was in this studio was actually the time I was requested to give an overview of the legacy of Nelson Mandela. Yeah, when he died. I think that must have been about 2013.
2013 about.
Yes, 2013. Yeah. So I was privileged to come and appear on the show. You know, having lived in South Africa and having worked under Mandela, I was requested to come and give an overview. So this is the first time I'm coming after that.
Fantastic.
So I'm saying, welcome to myself, home. I love it.
Indeed.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic.
In fact, 2013 was a very, very special year.
Right.
I think Mandela died, and I think that's the year myself and Honorable Saifwanda did a walk, a protest walk, to promote the rehabilitation of the Solwezi Chingola Road. Yeah, it was an event fair. So I'm very happy to be back.
Fantastic.
On the show.
Great.
Yeah,
great.
Sure.
I did mention that you are very lucky.
That's my name.
It's a coincidence, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Now you are here representing a new political party, MDC, that was formed. Should I say 4 or 5 months ago? Will I be right?
The MDC was formed sometime last year, I think about November last year.
Right.
But then the certificate of registration couldn't be granted because the PF have got their own way of operating. They don't treat others the way they were treated when they were in opposition. So it took quite a long time for them to release the certificate. The certificate was released in September, about mid-September, and about mid-October this year, the party was launched.
Sure.
Yes, exactly. So we launched the party on the 12th of October this year. Right. And then we had our policy conference because the MDC is a coming together of concerned Zambians. It's a congress of minds.
Right.
So we needed to agree, you know, on policy positions. So after the launch, we had our policy conference. We were supposed to have our first congress where we were supposed to elect leadership. Right. You know, that is from the 17th to the 20th. But the government denied us the permission to do that.
Right.
Yeah, and they gave reasons of the COVID. They said there's likely to be an upswing because the rains are going to bring with it cold weather, and that cold weather is going to bring a new wave. Right. So they said we shouldn't, and because we're a law-abiding entity, we decided to say, okay, fine, we engage them and see if we can hold our first Congress later.
Right. Just take you back in terms of the formation of MDC. You did mention that it was very difficult for you to be given that certificate. You know, the political party that was formed last year, and you were only given the certificate that was this year. That's the time when you decided to launch it. Mm-hmm. And what challenges did you face in acquiring that certificate?
Well, you see, the PF is an entity which I should say is a curse to Zambia. It's a curse. The PF should never, ever have occurred on the Zambian political scene. The PF have left a lot of damage to the Zambian development. It's, I'm sure, you know, after the PF are gone, in fact, next year, when the PF is defeated and it's no longer in power, none of the political players in PF would want to be associated with the name PF. The PF has been the worst political party that has ever superintended over Zambia's fortunes. Because when you look at the Zambia they inherited and the Zambia they have created today, the situation is very, very different. The PF cannot point at anything positive that this is what they have done. They've left Zambia far much worse than they inherited it. Even if they were to point at, say, infrastructure development, the simple question one would ask them is, at what cost? You understand? Because they have induced corruption in anything they do. And where there's no corruption, where they can't make any money, the PF doesn't simply participate. They don't. And that's why I'm saying the PF is a curse to Zambia. I'll give you a simple example. If you look at the Ndola Lusaka highway, this is 310 kilometers. And if you look at the cost of constructing a road in Zambia, $1 million per kilometer, it should just have costed us 310 kilometers. The PF wanted to do it at $1.2 billion. And when they were stopped, they abandoned the project. Where they can steal, they don't do anything. I'll give you another example. Mulungushi Textiles in Kabwe. Because there was no opportunity to make money, they abandoned it. That's PF for you. I'll give you another example. Solwezi Chingora Road. You know Solwezi Chingora Road? I superintended over that road, and the president told everybody that I was the face of that road. When I was the appointed minister and I was no longer at State House, the PF went in and it took 10 kilometers of the first lot and gave it to themselves. That thing, you go on the Chingula Solwezi Road, there's a diversion. It's rubbish. They just ate the money. You understand? The road, that 10 kilometers is dilapidated. That's PF for you. It's a bunch of criminals. We don't need them. And I can't wait to see their backs next year, August.
Right. Interesting. And you've chosen to go the hard way I'll repeat my question again. What challenges did you face to lead into the formation of your political party?
Well, they simply decided not to grant us a certificate of registration.
Right.
And, you know, there were attempts for us to try and ride on existing political parties and maybe change the names. Right. They banned that as well. Now, that's against the tenets of democracy as we know it.
What reasons were they giving to the denial of giving you a certificate?
Nothing at all, no reasons. You know, the problem with the PF is that they are full of people who are unethical. They do wrong things without even applying ethics. Because they're a bunch of clever illiterates. I mean, you mentioned them, the ministers, and you know, tell me their professions. Nothing. You know, when you have a profession, you tend to be ethical, because as you trained to be in that particular position, there could have been a course in ethics. So you know there's something you can do and something you can't do. You know there are things you can say and things that you can't say. You know. But if you look at the PF, start mentioning them name by name.
You know them. You've worked with them in government. So I'm sure you are the right person to mention those people you've labeled to be thieves, you know, to be clever thieves, according to your words, you know. And
no, I didn't say clever thieves. I said clever illiterates.
All right.
Yeah, clever illiterates.
Fantastic. Yeah, so let's move on. What is supposed to be done before an organization like a political party or any other organization is formed? I want to believe that for one to be given a certificate of an NGO like yours, for example, there must be some investigation that should be carried out to authenticate, to say this NGO, the people that are behind this, the names are this and this and this, to avoid any form of terror and the likes. You know, maybe that could be the reason. That's what I'm thinking from the information I have with regards to the registration of these NGOs. Maybe that could be the reasons why maybe your certificate delayed. You never know. Tell us what is supposed to be done to have a certificate really issued to a political party, NGOs, movement, and the likes.
Should it take 1 year? I mean, should it take 1 year?
For how long should it take?
It should take, let me tell you, it can even take hours.
Right.
I mean, who doesn't know who Lucky Mulusa is? Who doesn't know who Felix Mutati is? Who doesn't know who Mutolo Piri is? Who doesn't know who Moyo is? Who doesn't know who Sherry Tore is? Who doesn't know who Honorable Raymond Mpundu is? Our files are there in the system. It can take 1 year. It took over a year because it was political machinations. You understand? And you know, you need to realize that any country, any nation is organized, number one, at an individual level, family level, society level, you know, district, municipal, or city level, provincial level, and then you get to the nation. And it's very, very important for everybody to realize that as they are participating in governance, they simply play their role. One day, because nothing is permanent, one day, President Lungu will be an ordinary citizen. Kampyongo will be an ordinary citizen. The question is, what type of country will they live in when they are ordinary citizens. And all these people I've mentioned, none of them has ever been bigger than Kaunda. KK is an ordinary citizen. And so is Vijay. And so is Arabi. So when you are playing a role in the governance of the nation, try to create a better environment, not only for the people that you are saving, but for yourself, when you will be no longer in power. Nothing is permanent. We've had, very, very big people, very influential people. Muammar Gaddafi. How did he die? He was killed by an ordinary 21-year-old boy. You understand? We had Saddam Hussein. Those were great guys. He was pulled out of a hole, hiding. So similarly, those people that are in power now are nothing in terms of what life entails. And that's why it's important that when you are privileged to save the people, save them so decently that when you step out, you still have people's respect. And you still have relevance. To tell you the truth, I feel sorry for my colleagues, my former colleagues, those that I served with, those that are in the PF, who can even say, we are going to save until Jesus Christ comes. What the hell? I mean, how does it even occur that you can even claim that you are going to save until Jesus Christ comes? They forget that they are not even as powerful as Winter Kabimba was. Where is Winter Kabimba today? Where is Winter Kabimba today? So, my colleagues, those that I served with in government, need to realize that they need to play a role that will make them still be relevant Zambians beyond their term of office.
Again, SG, I want to make mention here that I'm one of those few people that have been privileged before to have maybe visit the Registrar of Societies and learn the challenges they face with regards to the registration of these NGOs, these movements, the pressure groups and the likes. And one of the things that have come out clearly is that sometimes why these investigations take long when you want to register a political party and then they will take maybe 2 years, they will take 1 year, is because there's a lot of cheating around that. You find that you want to register a political party in the name of IP, for example, IP NGO, IP political party, and you, instead of I myself, who is the initials are Innocent Piri, IP, of going there, genuinely say, I'm the owner of this political party. They begin to use other people that are not known. So find that the owners of that political party or that pressure group, NGO, they are hiding. That's cheating, which should not be allowed. So they want to establish the actual names of the people behind that NGO. Maybe that could have been the case with you. You never know.
No, not at all. You see, it was a very well-known fact that Honorable Felix Mutati was part of the MMD.
Right.
And that he took over the leadership of the MMD through a convention which we all believed was genuine.
Right.
Because Dr. Nevas Mumba, when he became president of the MMD in 2012, he was required after 5 years to call for a convention. He resisted. He resisted and he never called for a convention. So the members of the MMD decided to go to a convention, and Mutati was elected. But then the PF manipulated everything and made sure that the courts, unfortunately, our courts of law are very vulnerable. They actually commanded to make decisions in a particular way. So they decided that the convention that was held where Mutati was elected was illegal and therefore null and void. So the same Mutati decided now to take another route, register a new political party. So when you start talking about investigations, what do you investigate? You know Mutati.
Right.
He was your Minister of Foreign Affairs, a Minister of Finance,
sure.
And everybody around him were known.
Right.
So what are you investigating? What are you investigating? I mean, the system has got a file on him. The system has a file on me. The system has a file on everybody else. So what are you investigating? It can take a year. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
But for the PF, it suited them to frustrate the creation of a new political movement. But for some reason, we eventually got the certificate. And
I want to disagree with you, unless you've got vivid information, really, or evidence to challenge me and other viewers that are watching, because we know for sure that Honorable Mutati was working with the Patriotic Front. He was appointed as Minister of Finance, like you've mentioned at some point. Again, he went to the Minister of Works and Supply. How possible, really, that the Patriotic Front or the government really interfered into the case of Nevas Mumba and Mutati so that the case can go the other way to Nevas Mumba? Are we being realistic here, Honorable? Or maybe these are statements that you want to say for the sake of gaining political mileage? How possible?
No. You see,
Honorable Mutati was eating, for lack of better words, eating with the Patriotic Front.
No, don't put it as simplistic as that. Let me tell you one thing. It suits the PF to favor Nevas Mumba because he's irrelevant. Let me tell you this, and let me tell you that.
Not in favor of Mutati, who was working with the Patriotic Front.
Listen, when Mutati worked with the PF,
sure,
he brought order. He brought fiscal discipline. He stopped the nonsense that was happening in the PF, where you are spending money when you don't have the money that you are spending. And remember his famous statement that we are not going to spend that which we don't have.
Sure.
You understand? Now, it suited the Patriotic Front to frustrate Mutati and favor Nevas Mumba because they know Nevas Mumba is not a factor to them. Remember that Nevas Mumba got 14,000 votes in 2016, and the number of spoiled votes were more than 14,000 votes. So Nevas Mumba scored less than
the number of
spoiled votes. So they would rather favor somebody who will not negatively affect them.
Unlike Mutati, who was actually who failed to contest in 2016 when he was in charge of the MMD, purportedly in charge of the MMD at that moment.
No. No. He did not fail to contest in 2016.
He did.
He went into an alliance with the PF.
That's a failure.
No, it's not.
Me, that's a failure.
No. Look, it's
like already you are defeated.
Look,
you say I can't manage. Why should I try?
No.
It's the best thing I should work with SG
it's a strategy.
Amulusa there, who is capable, for example.
It's a political strategy.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
It's a political strategy.
How strategies?
Alliances are allowed. Alliances are allowed in politics.
Right.
So he simply chose to go into an alliance with the PF. Remember that in 2015 elections, Mutati was in alliance with the HH.
Sure.
So he chose to be in alliance with the PF. I personally was in an alliance with the PF. It's not failure. It's a political strategy. Yeah, so you can't say he failed to contest. Politics is about timing and strategy. So the timing was 2016. The strategy was to go in an alliance with the PF. And when he became Minister of Finance, he went and introduced order in the fiscal management of the economy.
Are you able to summarize by saying the November 5th ruling, judgment involving Honorable Mutati and versus Nevas Mumba case was unfairly done? From what we've said?
Yeah, that was a very unfair ruling. It was a very unfair ruling to actually save the interest of the PF. I don't want to spend so much time talking about.
I wanted you to end
about
from
the MMD.
Yeah.
I don't want
and
to.
we're done from there.
I don't want to waste my time
Indeed.
there.
And those are
the
bygones.
MMD,
Let's move on.
Exactly.
The MDC is here now. Why is MDC vying to take over power next year?
The reason is simple. You know, we have potentially 9 million voters in Zambia.
Sure.
Since 2016, we should have had 9 million voters. Now, when it came to registration of voters in 2016, we only had 5 million people registered. 4 million stayed away, not registering at all. When it came to voting, the PF scored 1.8 million votes. The UPND scored 1.7 million votes. Added together, that's 3.5 million, meaning that 1.5 million out of the 5 million who registered decided to stay away, plus the 4 million. So you've got 5.5 million people not participating in the exercise. The MDC is offering a home to those 5.5 million. That's number one. Number two, there's no difference between PF and UPND. There's no difference. They're the same. They're the same. That's why...
Same in terms of what?
The rubbish from PF is given importance in UPND. The rejects in PF becomes the vice presidents in UPND. They're the same. I mean, you know what? Give me a reason why a person who actually destroys PF yet finds himself favorable in UPND. UPND picks up every rubbish from PF. Even the people that are very violent, that have been known in Zambia to have been very violent, they have a home in UPND. Look at William Banda. Where is he? He's special advisor to Hakainde Hichilema. You look at PF and UPND, they accuse themselves of corruption. And each one of them has evidence against the other. So, UPND and PF are not suitable for Zambia. It will just be like kids playing on a seesaw. This one goes down, this one goes up.
Do you believe in repentance? It's possible one can repent, you know. And if one
confesses
and repent, why should we reject such a person?
Then
on top of that again,
you ask PF why they have not accepted the GBM properly. Don't ask me about repentance.
I mean, GBM has been accepted. Now is deputy chair mobilization.
The entire GBM must be deputy. I mean, that's a joke. He's been ignored. I mean, GBM as we speak now is irrelevant. So where's the repentance? Let me tell you, if today Kampyongo was to move from PF, he can be deputy, he can be vice president in PF. Listen, look at Shimbakambwiri. The kind of politics Shimbakambwiri exhibited in PF were very bad politics. We didn't need that kind of politics. He could be running mate in UPND. UPND are a joke. We don't need the PF. PF is a curse to Zambia. UPND is a joke.
Maybe you're being too hard on your fellow opposition because you've got one agenda, and that is, to change government. And
okay, fine. Listen. Listen.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. When GBM was in government, he was doing all sorts of wrong things, and UPND was fighting to change those things.
Right.
He left, and they embraced him as their vice president. Are they serious? I'm not being hard on them. I'm being realistic. Let us be realistic. A wrong person is a wrong person. Right. You can't be so desperate to take over and embrace anything and anybody. Look at how many times Kambwiri has had to apologize to the people of Southern Province for the things he said against them. But there he is. He would probably run as their vice president. UPND. Are we serious? What are we doing? I mean, let us be, principled. For me, let me tell you, for me, when I was in the MMD, and I was member of parliament for Solwezi Central, my pronouncements against the PF are exactly the things that I carried on even when I joined, even when I worked with the PF. Even when I was inside, I disagreed with them. They fired me. I was fired for sticking to my principles. That's the way politics must be carried on. I can't. Oh my God.
How do you justify really your sentiments, Honorable, here? Because it appears that it's like most Zambians now believe that the only messiah for Zambia for now, it could be HH. The man has been described as the only potential economist that can turn things around in this country. And it's the only name that is being talked about really by the majority Zambians.
What is his message?
Of course, he's talked about a lot of issues, talked about, free education. He's talked about, turning the economy or also maybe gaining the kwacha within 48 hours in power. For example, if it's on today, tomorrow the kwacha will change.
Let me tell you.
Don't appreciate that?
Let me tell you. I told you there's no difference between the PF and the UPND.
Sure.
There's no difference. Both of them are regional parties. They've divided this nation. The way the PF are a tribal party is the way the UPND are a tribal party. UPND is very tribal, and I'll give you an example. Here is a situation where the UPND was given an opportunity to appoint a leader of the opposition and to also appoint the whip. HH comes from Southern Province, and HH is very strong in 3 provinces. Southern, Western, and Northwestern. When HH was given an opportunity to appoint the leader of the opposition and to also appoint the whip. What did he do? He appointed his tribesmates. He even discriminated against his own southern province, because he just appointed people from Tongas from the plateau. You've got Tokalayas, you've got Tongas from the valley, you've got Ilas. He appointed Gary Nkombo as the whip. He appointed Jack Mwimbo as the leader of the opposition. And yet, he had more senior people from Western Province, such as Dr. Msokotwane, Professor Lungwagwa. He bypassed them. He had people like Kasonso, Honorable Kasonso, from Northwestern Province. He bypassed them. So, it shows you how tribal the UPND is. And that's exactly how tribal the PF are. The PF and the UPND are very bad for Zambia. They will never ever bring development to Zambia. And they're highly incompetent, both of them. There's no message from the UPND in terms of how they are going to change the fortunes of Zambia. They've got, useless slogans. Bali will fix it. Bali will fix it. I have been in government. Not only the Zambian government, I have been in the South African government. Not a single person can fix anything. So Bali will fix it. And then in PF, you've got Adadau. Oh my God. Let me tell you, these two political parties are a joke to Zambia. There's nowhere where they can take us. And for me, I was very comfortable in government, yet very vulnerable, because I was a nominated member of parliament. I could be disappointed and lose everything.
Right.
But I stood on principle. I looked President Lungu in the face and I told him, this is not what we promised Zambians.
Right.
You understand? And I left government. Similarly, when you go to the UPND, what are they promising Zambians? Tell me one single point the UPND has said that this is what they stand on and this is how they are going to fix Zambia's fortunes. Nothing. It's all slogans. Forward, forward. Pamaka, pamaka, rubbish. None of them is good for Zambia. Let me tell you, what is good for Zambia is the MDC.
I don't know if I can say, you sound very bitter,
No. I'm not bitter.
Yeah.
I'm just realistic. I care for Mother Zambia.
Right.
I'm just realistic. I'm not bitter. Bitter over what? Bitter over what? Let me tell you, when I was fired, I went into farming. Yeah, I went into farming. And farming is a lifestyle. And I was enjoying speaking to, plants. Yeah, I'm not bitter.
Was MDC formed out of frustration, maybe?
It's not out of frustration.
Looking at you,
it was
a man like you was disappointed by ECL in 2018. Again, we've got Honorable Mtata as well, was dismissed from government. And you decided to team up together. A team that I can describe maybe a team of frustrated individuals.
No, not at all. We are not frustrated. Right. We can actually lead private lives. And and lead them comfortably. We are not a bunch of frustrated people. Right. We are simply a group of concerned Zambians, and the majority of the people that are in MDC, for instance, have never